Hey, creative souls, writers, word witches, thank you so much for tuning in. In this video, I will be talking about how you might use the energies of the Mercury retrograde in Pisces to benefit your writing practice. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Johnny. You can learn more about me at my website, johnnymazzacco.com, my blog, writingthroughthebody.com. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Substack. If you go to my website, at the very top of the page, you will see a place where you can fill out a form and get my 10 ways to banish writer's block. It's free for you. It's a sweet little digital flip book that I made to help you get unstuck in those moments when you might just be having a little bit of a stuck point in your writing. I want to thank you for your likes, shares, and comments because they all tickle the algorithm, which it loves. And in response, it will allow more people to see me and my videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and help me reach my goal of 500. All right, so let's talk about this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. As I always say, Mercury retrogrades get a bad rap, I think, but they're not inherently bad. In fact, I think that we as writers can use them to benefit and enhance our writing practices because they create this nice ebb and flow. Um, and of course, there's the 10-day or so shadow phase before and after. So there's this ease in and an ease out. And then once we're in it, it starts today on the 26th of February. Once we're in it, they last about 3 weeks. We have these 3 to 4 times a year. And this one, as I said, starts today, February 26th, and runs through March 30th. So a Mercury retrograde in Pisces can bring a kind of dreamy, emotional quality to our days. And Mercury retrograde in general is about revisiting and revising and redoing. So this is why I love these for writers. And it gives us a chance to kind of go back over things and reconsider instead of always feeling like we have to be on this linear path, straightforward, just getting shit done, right? And so I think Mercury retrogrades give us kind of I like to think of this as a metaphor, all right? And as I said earlier, this kind of ebb and flow. And so it's this slower energy that allows us to kind of slow down and rethink some things. So with this energy, because it is so watery, because it's in Pisces and it's super dreamy, it's ruled by Neptune, things might feel dreamy and surreal, and things might get a little fuzzy. So I think a good approach to any Mercury retrograde is to slow down, like I said, and just take one day or one step at a time and avoid really trying to rush anything. And know that outside your writing, communications might get misread. Um, and there are times when I just feel, and I always stay home a lot anyway, but I feel like during a Mercury retrograde, I even more just want to kind of like stay home, don't talk to people, um, because I don't want to run the risk of communication breakdowns because they're just very stressful to me. Um, and I think this is also a great time to take plenty of mental breaks. And so for you, if that means like me staying home more, then do that. If it means taking more breaks from work that you do, if you can do that, mental breaks from maybe binge watching TV. It's just a really good time to reevaluate habits, and in particular, our writing habits. So let's look at some of the specifics and how they might relate to your writing life. Like I said earlier, you might uh, experience some unclear communications, and this could be between you and your characters. All right. So you might find that what you write during this time needs to be revised later, but that's okay, right? Because that's how the process works. You might also find that something you have written in the past pulls you back for a redo now during these 3 weeks. And, sometimes when we go back and revisit something we've written, it can lead us to a deeper understanding of a character. And I always think that's a good thing. I think the more deeply we can understand our characters, the better for our readers and for our stories. During this time, also, intuition will likely be strong, so your intuition could take precedence over logic in some cases, which could come in handy if you've been trying to sort out some kind of snag in your character development or a plot point. So, this is a great time to do free writes and character sketches rather than just like force a story forward. Energy during this time might also be dreamy. You might have, like I said earlier, feel like you have a dreamy brain. And so, along the same lines, you might feel um, like you're kind of like floating through your day. But we can also use this as fiction writers. So, I like to think of this as a time when veils between your cognitive logical mind and your imagination thin quite a bit. So you'll have easier access to bright ideas and maybe even some wild ideas that you haven't thought of before. And if you write fantasy or speculative fiction, this could be a really big help. There can be a general tendency toward escapism or daydreaming. So let that happen and just see where it takes you. I do think part of having a writing practice is letting ourselves daydream. And whether it's staring out the window, sitting on the couch, staring into space, or just taking a walk and kind of zoning out, as long as we're safe about it. I live in the city, so I can't zone out too much when I'm walking, but I live near a river, and there are benches along it, and so it's a great place for me to go sit. And where I live, we have so many beautiful parks, and I have two just in either direction, like a block away from me. So, and one of them has this lovely little bubbler spring that comes up out of the ground and then goes down these stair steps of bricks, and it makes this lovely noise. And so it's a really good place for me to go and sit and just daydream and zone out. Um, might sound weird, but also for me, doing dishes is a time when I just kind of zone out and get into creative mode, and my brain comes up with all kinds of things. Another aspect of this energy is reevaluation, as I mentioned before. So, in terms of regular life, relationships might show up. And as I always say, I kind of hope they do in certain cases because there's some people I know that I would love to give them a proper fuck off that I should have given them in the past but did not. Um, so yeah, that's always a hope of mine. Um, but you could find that someone from your past might show up, and that could be a not so good thing or it could be a good thing. It could be a chance to reevaluate emotional patterns. So think about how this might apply to your characters and your practice. So have you developed maybe some patterns in your writing life that are really not serving you so well? Um, have you noticed your character doing something that's really not moving the story along? And so maybe take some time to really sit back and explore and delve into why is my character doing that? And I have found that when I sit in quiet and ask my character questions, they will answer me. And um, I can untangle a lot of knots in doing just that one simple exercise. And because, as I always say, your relationship with your writing practice is your relationship with yourself. And I really do feel that a writing practice and honoring your impulse to write is an act of self-love. And I think self-care during times like this that we are living in now, this crazy political climate, and for so many writers, that means tending to your practice. So I've been thinking a lot about tending recently because my novel Miranda's Garden is being released on May 1st. And so I'm having a lot of fun planning a launch party and that sort of thing. And it's made me think a lot about really one of the themes of the story is about tending. It's about tending a garden, and I think also tending the self or the soul. And I think when we sit down to write, we are tending to our souls. So, what I want to leave you with is prioritize yourself, prioritize your writing, and be sure to slow down and be willing to revisit and reconsider rather than attempt to just keep plowing forward. All right, so that's it for this video, lovely writers. As always, I send you mad writing mojo. Happy writing.